Sup peeps, my name's Ian. I sell books on eBay. I try to. eBay's been really slow the last few days. Today I have a total of 5 orders going out. Just peeling a price sticker off the front of a book that I had missed. Let's get that off of there. Yeah, 5 orders for 50 quid. So another really slow day, and that's been like 3 really slow days in a row. One of those orders came through overnight at like, what time would that have been? When did that come in? 5:15 this morning. So without that, it was even worse. I know if everybody's sales are different. People will be having good sales whilst I'm having bad sales, and then I'll have a period where I've got good sales and other people will be having bad sales. People will be having bad sales compared to my bad sales. I understand that's the nature of eBay. My daily target is £200 a day in sales, and that should be achievable with what I list, the quantity of stock I've got, etc. Obviously that's an average over a period, not exactly £200 every day. My average until the last 3 days had been just over £160 a day, so it was creeping up towards that. The last 3 days I haven't totaled £160 across the full 3 days, so that's come crashing down. So to get back up towards anywhere near £200 a day before the end of the month is now, it's impossible. We've got to be realistic about these things. And I'm not complaining, because if people aren't out there wanting to buy what I'm selling on any given day, that's just the way it works when you're, any kind of business like this. That's what happens. Things go up, things come down. If eBay isn't putting my stuff in front of people, that's frustrating. But again, I suppose you're getting what you pay for. It feels like a lot, paying out, nearly a third of everything that comes in to eBay, either as listing fees, final fees, shop subscription fees, all of these things. It's nearly a third of all the revenue that comes in that's going out to them. But compared to if you were in some sort of normal retail setting or having to pay advertising fees to promote away from, such as eBay, it's still very, very competitive. It just feels a little out with your control. If you were to pay for the advertising yourself to generate stuff coming through, once you knew what your, for every £1 spent on advertising, how much business is that likely to bring in, then you're much more in control, because you'll know that you can increase your advertising budget and that will have an impact on your sales. With eBay, you pay after the fact for the most part, so if they don't want to push it forward, then there's nothing you can do about it. You can only pay what you've used, and if they don't want to give it to you, for whatever reason it might be, then that makes life difficult. So it's frustrating. It's not a complaint, it's just frustrating. Yeah, lots of comments yesterday. That's the one thing about having a bad day or bad couple of days on eBay. You put up a negative title and you get so many more views and so much more interaction than if it's something positive or neutral. So that's great. Hundreds of more views on YouTube just because you have a bad day. I don't know what that says about us as a nation, but it says something. Yeah, lots of good, helpful, useful comments on there. It's really good. That sounds slightly wrong, but it's good to know that it's not just me, that there are other people who are experiencing dips. It'd be great if everybody had great sales all the time, don't get me wrong, but it gives you that wee bit of reassurance that it's not just me, not just you. Other people are going up and down in these slumps and peaks as well. So if you were just sitting in a wee isolated box doing this and you had a few bad days, then that's where the panic takes over and you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to change? And that's where you risk making dramatic changes, which may actually make things worse. You might see a wee uplift, but that could be coincidental, but it could make things worse. So it's really good getting that feedback and knowing that there's other people who are having as bad luck, as great misfortune as myself over that short period of time. But even more so, it's good to know that there's people who are still ticking over and doing well, because it means that it will come back around. It will peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs. The biggest impact is cash flow. So £50 worth of sales yesterday means about 15 quid in profit, which isn't going to do anything. So it puts a hold on being able to go out and pick up new stock and all of these things. We do need to take some sort of pay out of this business as it goes along. So if there's only £15 in a day, and that's for 3 days now, £15 a day available in profit, then that's going into the pot to pay the wages at the end of the month. It's leaving zero zip nada to reinvest back into business to keep it expanding. So that's where that bit hurts. If you have a whole week like that, then that's a week where you're not going to go out and potentially not going to be able to go out and do any sourcing, which will have an impact on the following week and the week after that, because you're not going to be able to get the listings up. So that's where that impact comes in. I do try and mitigate that. There's always a very small reserve to go out and pick up some stock, and I've always got, at least a couple of days worth of books, other stuff, mostly books. It's all books, isn't it? I've got a few DVDs that are still not listed, but a couple of days worth sat there to keep the listings rolling and the listings going. But if there's another day, another 2 days, like what the last 3 days have been, then that's gone. There will be nothing else until sales pick up quite substantially to pay the wages, pay the expenses. I mean, that's the other thing. When that goes down, so 45 quid in over 3 days is profit. At the moment, I need to order bubble wrap packing bags. That's 40 quid in itself. So that's not, that's something that I would rather not be spending until there's money coming back in to replace it. Because if that goes out and the sales stay the same for the next 2 or 3 days, then it really does go down to a flat zero. So it's these things that become frustrating and play in your mind, which is why we need to have other routes, either separate sources of income or other ways of selling the stock that we've got. So Whatnot would be great, but in the UK they ain't doing books. It's annoying, because I think that would be a really good way of moving a lot of volume. You're not going to make a lot of money on it, but you'll be able to get through a lot of volume and keep that ticking over. I know there's various other sites. Amazon has been a complete disaster. They just haven't accepted my application to sell. I can't get through to anything on the website. It's a mess, so I don't know what to do about that one, although I'm not overly bothered. ABE Books, there are other avenues and ways of doing it, excuse me, but I need to work out how to list on various sites and manage the inventory at the same time, and that's something I've not quite got my head around yet. I'm sure it's not overly complicated, but I need to get thinking on that. The other option is an independent website. So, if I'm selling stuff on eBay, I can send out the details of that website to the customers who buy stuff, and if they want to buy stuff direct, they can do that. That may generate a wee bit. Again, this is the plus of eBay. It takes an awful lot more work to get that set up with enough volume on it that you may generate a few sales. And again, you've got the cross-listing issue, so you're going to have to be going in and taking stuff off and putting stuff, in different places. Sell something like that, I need to take it off of eBay, and vice versa, or have 2 separate loads of stock running, some on eBay, some on that, and that's where space becomes an issue. So it's lots of different things you need to consider when doing these bits and pieces, and have more than one way of the money coming in, which we all know. I know it very, very well. I just need to do a bit more about it. So if I do have a couple of bad days on eBay, then one of those other routes might still be okay and keep it ticking over and keep a few quid coming in. Let's say this is a one-man band, so it doesn't need a lot of sales to keep that ticking over, but it still needs enough. So lots to think about, lots to do to make that all happen and work. One thing I keep coming back round to is, when I started on eBay, I started on eBay in back in the 90s, when it first came out, but for this kind of current iteration of my selling, about a year and a half ago, thereabouts. Got back in, started selling stuff, and I was selling everything, and just being that everything seller, which was still just a wee part-time side hustle, I was making as much as I'm making just selling all the books at the moment. So it takes less time to do it with the books for the same amount of money, and there's no doubt about that. The biggest time constraint, time taker, time user when selling everything was sourcing took an awful lot longer, and listing took an awful lot longer to get the same value up and going. But when there's a process in place and you get familiar with what you're doing, that does become quicker. The sourcing is not a bad thing. I quite enjoy it, you know. You go out and you have a good wee sniff around. So I keep swithering as to whether or not I should just go back to doing those bits and pieces as kind of a side hustle to the books, and see if that'll lift things up and get things going. I've probably got £10,000-15,000 worth of stock up in the loft that I just took down when I wanted to move over to the books, because a lot of it was clothing. Clothing's just a pain in the backside, so a lot of that wouldn't go back up, but there will be select bits and pieces in there that I could get up and get listed, and they might sell quite quickly, and then it's an extra tenner here, there and everywhere. So I keep thinking back to that. Again, it just sort of means getting it out, getting it listed, getting it pictured, and resorting my inventory management for that stuff. So I'm kind of in two places to do that. Load of clothes, I might take some down, stick them up in Vinted, see if a few bits and pieces sell on there. And that keeps it separate from this business, obviously. But I don't know. Hey, if anybody's got any thoughts around that, you know, drop us a line, let us know what you think. But today's sales, and also yesterday, I've tried something a little bit different just to see what happens. But we'll have a look at the sales first. And the first one going out for £12.99 is a bundle of Michael Connelly. So that's good, in that quite a few of these are ones that I picked up in my big haul from the other day, where I got lots and lots of titles from the one author. So £12.99 in. This lot probably cost me, let's see, we've got two of them came in that pickup, so that's £2 that bundle's probably cost us to buy. It's gone for £12.99, so it's, you know, a third to eBay, a third in postage, which is leaving me like £4. So I've only made a couple of quid on that bundle, but if I was to sell them all day making a couple of quid, that's good. You know, put out 50 like that, you're going to make £100. Fantastic. So yeah, not going to be great money in there. Having said that, even though I went out and spent like 50p a book for a couple of hundred books, my average across everything I've got is still, I mean, that'll have tweaked it up ever so slightly from the kind of 25p, but not significantly so. So depending how you look at it, it's a better or worse sale. But yeah, £12.99 for that lot. I don't think they went and promoted listings, so there's maybe an extra couple of quid in it there as well. Right, what was next? Next was a lovely little book that sold for £12. So Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott, and it's the 150th anniversary edition. Nice big hardcover. Only picked it up a couple of weeks ago. And I don't usually bother with, I mean, Little Women, it's one of these books that's out in so many different editions, but it's kind of common as muck, so not worth a lot of money. So it's not one that I would typically pick up, but this looked nice, so I got it. Plus I ended up watching like the second half of the movie in the background for some reason a few weeks ago. I've forgotten, it's pretty harrowing. Anyway, that one, £12 exactly, so that's including the postage. That would have been a 25p pickup, so nice, nice, nice. Those are the ones that you want to find and sell. Next, another little bundle. This time it's Mr. Mark Billingham, the former comedian, or maybe he's still funny. Again, £12.99 for that lot. I did pick up a handful of these in the big pickup the other day, but none of these are those, although certainly adding to that listing does something in the algorithm and it gets it a bit more attention. But the 5 of them, £12.99, so that's another few quid in profit off of that. 3 orders down, 2 to go. What will they be? Will they be spectacular? Will they be stunning? Will they blow your mind? Probably not. Edward Marston, Tragedy on the Branch Line. It's part of one where I put the bundle in, but this has gone by itself for £6.99. Repeat buyer. Cheers, Brian. Yeah, Edward Marsden. He's fits and starts, he sells in. I've got quite a few of them sat there. I've listed quite a few recently, and that's maybe pushed that back up, unless Brian's been in there looking for these ones in particular. But yeah, it's another author. When I see them and they're in good nick, I will pick them up because they do sell, even if you have to sit on them for a little while. If they were all listed as individual books, they probably wouldn't be worth it, because it's going to be costing you like 6p every month to have them up there. So very quickly, 5-6 months of that sits, your profit's just about gone on listing fees. But as part of the big listing, the bundle variation listing, that works out just fine. And the final book of the day is, see if I can pronounce this, Agricola and Germania, or Germania, by Tacitus. So a wee Penguin Classics. For a while, all the classics sold really, really well, and they've kind of dried up of late. I've not sold many at all. I have picked up quite a few again recently and added them, got those listings on, so that might, drive a few more people looking for that type of book towards my listings. £7.24 for that one, so that's quite nice. The best books ever written, Penguin Classics, since 1946. Yeah, not much more to say about it. It's a book and it's sold. So that's all the sales. I say really poor day in sales, but as long as they keep ticking over, something's happening, and hopefully over the weekend get a couple of really good days and pull things back a little bit. Now, the other good thing about having bad days is you don't rest on your laurels. You do, as I said before, if you're sitting in isolation, panic would set in and you change everything to try and make a difference. Not sitting in isolation, because I'm able to share with you guys most days and get that back, that feedback back from you. I know I'm not on my own out there. I know it's not just me who has bad days and has good days. It happens to everybody. So that's always reassuring. But it still gives you the opportunity to take a wee step back and go, right, well, what can we do differently? If things were ticking over and I was getting £150, £200 a day in sales as it goes, I wouldn't change anything. I'd just keep doing what I was doing. Because if it ain't broke, why fix it? There'd be tweaks to be made, but I wouldn't change anything dramatically. But when it goes on a slump like that, you begin to think, right, what are the other ways where I can mitigate against that going forward? And one of the things I've done is taken a wee stack of paperbacks, just individual books, which do have some sort of a sell-through rate, and I've put them all up in auction. I don't use auctions very often. I've got a couple of auctions running just now for potentially higher value books where I don't really know what to list them for, what they're worth. So I've stuck them up at, 2 books. They're each up for 50 quid each at the moment. One ends on Sunday. The Tolkien book I spoke about yesterday ends a week yesterday. So they'll potentially turn into something, and that's typically where, maybe once or twice a month I'll have an auction up for that. But I've put up 6 or 7, I'm going to do a few more actually, just plain old paperbacks, ones that have sold recently, so not ones that are just like completely random. Start them at 99p, there's postage on top of that, and see if they sell. If they sell for 99p, I'm maybe going to make pennies on each book as they go out. There won't be any promoted fees on that, obviously, because it's an auction, so it will just be eBay's 30p and they're 12%, so 30p is going to cost me, let's say 99p coming in, because the 30 pence and the postage cost comes out of the £3.99 postage that I charge. So kind of 99p, they're going to take their 12-15% of that for their final listing fee, so it's going to leave, well, maybe 70p, which, taking off the cost of the book, 25 pence, so maybe 40-50 pence a book potentially you can make selling them for 99p on auction if they sell. You need to wait and see. I've got 600 auctions I can use every month, and let's say I've barely scratched the surface on them, and some of you guys have suggested in the past that I should make more use of that, and I keep thinking about it and then just putting the stuff onto the normal listings. But yeah, I'm going to get a few up over the next week or so, just a good few every day, and then see what happens off the other end. I want to do it every day for at least a week, so that, and try and put up comparable stuff every single day as well, so that when it gets to the start of them finishing, you can see what kind of titles do best and on what days. It's not going to be a massively deep insight because it'll be quite a limited sample, but it'll maybe give me an indication, is it worth using those 600 auction listings every month just to make an extra £100-150 in profit by getting those books churned out on that regular basis. And if they do sell regularly at that price, you know, they actually get bids and go for even 99p, then is it worth the effort consistently? Otherwise, you've just spent time creating a listing that's not going anywhere. You'll just end up relisting it at your 6 pence a pop once it's done for a buy it now. So I've done this in wee dribs and drabs in the past, and it's not very, 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 very little has ever sold at auction on a 99 pence start, but I'm going to try and do a few more, let's say consistently over a week, and see if that makes any difference. So, you know, keep watching. In a week or so, we'll begin to know whether or not that has had any impact, any success whatsoever, and we'll tack it for there. But that is really all for today. I really want to go out and do some sourcing because it's great fun going out and just getting bags and bags of books, but I'm going to try really hard not to. Quite a few still to list. I've got a lot to put away. I've got several hundred books I need to go and put in the right place where they need to be, because I had lots and lots by the same author. I've just got them all listed up in one big go, but now I've got big stacks that I need to shift and put in their place, which will mean a wee bit of rejigging, so I'll probably spend a couple of hours today just managing stock from that point of view. A bit of listing, a bit more listing, and hopefully all day I'll just be picking and packing sales because they're going to go flying out the door. We shall see. Anyway, that is all for today. Thank you all as ever for watching this far. If you've watched this far and you've not, why not subscribe? Hit the like button, all of these things. To me, it's nice to get that wee kind of affirmation that, oh, people like this, but really it just boosts the algorithm. You know, the more people that like, comment or subscribe on any given video, the further YouTube push it, so the more people are likely to see it. So it's a very selfish reason I'm asking you to do that. Costs you nothing, takes a moment. Cheers. Anyway, for the 8th time, that's all. See you, love you, bye.